Welcome my friend, Seven Gray here. Thank you for joining me for this episode. It's several days later after my breakdown in Gallup, New Mexico, and I am in Las Vegas, and I'm visiting my brother here who lives in Las Vegas. Those of you who have followed my channel for quite a while may or may not know that I lived in Las Vegas for about 17 years, quite a while ago. Shortly after I graduated from university back in 1990, I lived in Israel until the Gulf War broke out. And then I came back to the United States and everything in my life got turned upside down. Career path, relationships, everything else. And my parents were living in Las Vegas, so I came to Vegas to sort of try to figure out what I was going to do with my life. And so I lived with my parents for a little while until I got things figured out. And I ended up staying in Vegas for about 17 years. So this was the central hub for my family for quite a while. And eventually my parents moved away, went up to Washington. My brother, however, stayed here. I lost contact with my brother and we didn't really speak for many years until just recently. So I am here in Las Vegas. My brother is a mechanic and he's offered to help me diagnose and figure out a bunch of stuff with my truck. When I was down in Florida, my mechanic in Florida thought that it was the tappet cover that was the problem for the oil leak, but the mechanics in Gallup, New Mexico said no, it's not the tappet cover. Right above the tappet cover is the fuel injection pump, and we think that that's where the oil leak is coming from. So the tappet cover is down below, as I understand it, down below these fuel lines here. It's underneath this and it's a cover that goes on the side of the engine. So to get access to that, you have to pull off this air intake here. You've got to take off this whole mechanism here where the fuel pump is. So the fuel pump, as I understand it, is this whole section down here. You have the power steering here as well that's in the way. So all of this stuff has got to come off in order to get down to that. So it's quite a bit. So it can be very involved if you get into the tappet cover. I'm not sure if this is visible in the video, but on the back side of the fuel injection pump, there is a bunch of silicone that's just gobbed on there. There's a section about 2.5 inches wide in a circular area that is just covered with silicone that's probably about 3/4 of an inch thick. What really bothers me about this is I bought this from a diesel mechanic shop. And that diesel mechanic said, you know, he had done all this work to this truck previous to me buying it. And he was telling me that it was super strong engine, runs great, yada yada. But there's just so much shoddy work on this. I mean, like putting silicone caulk around an oil leak. That to me is just not a good mechanic. That's somebody who is really trying to take advantage of the next person and sell something as cheap as possible and just get the work done. I just do not have any respect for somebody who would do that. That is just wonky, really poor mechanic work. Another example of poor mechanic work is right down here. Look at this wiring. This is the fuel pump wiring. It's just a red wire that goes up into where the stereo is supposed to be, and they pulled out the stereo plug and then they shaved down a pin here, just shaved it to where it would fit into the positive connector. So that's where the fuel pump is getting power through this wire. It's just terrible mechanic work and electrical work here. This is not the way you want to do things. I have very little respect for the person who sold this vehicle to me. I guess I'm just naive, and I think the best of people, and I think people are going to be honest with me because I'm honest with them, sort of golden rule thing. But apparently that's not the word. But apparently that's not the way the world works. So I'm at my brother's today. We're going to be trying to go through the truck bumper to bumper to see what's going on. My brother has been a mechanic since he was a teenager, pulling apart engines. And he has been a service writer and working with dealerships here in Las Vegas for probably over 20 years. And right now he's the top service and parts manager for one of the high-end dealerships, I think Lamborghini and Audi. And he owns 2 diesel trucks himself. So he knows trucks. He has a big fifth wheel trailer back here. He knows trailers. and so I think he's the perfect person to help me out, given that Badge is not down here from Canada. So hoping that we'll make some progress here over the next day or two in diagnosing what is going on with the truck. So I'm staying here for a few days, maybe a couple of weeks, in this RV trailer, giant toy hauler that my brother has. And he has a whole bunch of fun toys that he puts inside this. My brother is a mechanic and knows tons of stuff about mechanical type stuff. He is the service manager and the parts manager for one of the auto dealerships here in Las Vegas. And today, his sidekick, the used car manager, is out here helping me, who is a very knowledgeable mechanic and done tons of stuff with diesels. So we're looking at the truck, and so I'm going to introduce you to this amazing person. I have the cargo trailer here parked in the front driveway, and off over here to the side is the truck. My brother and his buddy have been doing diagnostic and looking at this truck over the past few days, and have advised me that probably it's not the best fit for me for towing the cargo trailer. So they've convinced me sell this and get into something new. But let's talk about what's going on with the truck. Over here is Medardo, and I understand you're the used car
mechanic for Audi.
Mechanic, yeah. So he is a guru with all of the used cars, not only just the Audi, but also other stuff like the diesel. You've done lots of work on diesels before.
Yeah, I was an industrial mechanic before I even went to go and work for Audi and stuff, so I have a lot of experience on this stuff.
So you and my brother Bryce have looked at the truck, advised me, get out of this, get into something else, a better decision. And at this point, today we're preparing the truck to get it ready to sell, and just a few little tweaks, but it'll make all the difference for the new owner. So just today we fixed
the oil leak out of the
major oil leak. So what was going on with the oil leak? What did we see in there?
Well, the injector pump, which is the machine that supplies the oil, the fuel pressure into the engine, it has a metal cover on the back of it, and it ended up leaking oil from there. So we ended up replacing the O-ring that it had in there, and we ended up discovering that somebody had put a large amount of silicone in there to
How much silicone did you dig out?
It was quite a bit. It had it along the whole perimeter of the cover. So, and but part of the problem too was like the safety wire was broken that holds the nuts and bolts together on that spot, and because of that and the vibration of the engine, it probably just rattled off again and started leaking. So
okay,
now that we took care of that, we put some safety wire on the bolts, and it should hold now, and so far it hasn't leaked after we did that repair. And now it's just taking care of all the other little issues like the fuel filter, which I'm kind of figuring out that it's a whole assembly. It doesn't have a separate fuel filter in this. It has a canister, and it has a cartridge filter that goes on the inside. So more than likely the canister itself has a small crack on it and is losing diesel fuel from there, and pretty much covering the whole bottom of the truck. But
so we're going to replace the fuel filter and tighten one line over here?
Oh, the line's already tightened those.
Okay.
It's just replacing the filter and then the canister assembly that it goes on there.
So once we have all of that done, all of those leaks that I was seeing before should be gone. I mean, we were looking under there just now, ran it probably for 10 minutes and didn't see any oil leaks, just fuel leaks at this point. So I think we'll be able to track down the last of the fuel leaks. And the plan is for me to buy a replacement truck first, make sure I get that, it's running and condition, and then see if there's anything I need off of this truck to transfer over there, like the trailer brake controller, or maybe the flatbed or the toolboxes, some of the other components I've installed. So going to do that. So I'm going to be truck shopping over the next couple of days. Well, thank you, Medardo, for all your help today. I greatly appreciate you looking over this and all your advice.
Yeah, not a problem. Anytime.
It's been a sort of stressful thing for me with the Dodge Ram and all the oil leaks and other problems, but I have been shopping for the last week, looking avidly for a replacement vehicle. And behind me I have a replacement vehicle. I just barely bought this. I bought it off of Facebook Marketplace from a gentleman there, and this is a 2001 Ford F350, and it's looking pretty darn nice. It's a huge upgrade for me, and this is what I'm going to be towing. I no longer have a dually. This vehicle looks really very nice. Let me give you a little tour here. Apparently the headlights have been upgraded to newer model headlights, so this is really, really nice. You can see that the overall condition of the body, it is fabulous. By the way, I'm in the middle of a dealership here. This is where my brother and his buddy work. So we're here today looking at this so we can put it up on the lift. And here you can see the interior is almost pristine. This is beautiful. So I am super stoked about this new vehicle. I think it's going to be so much better than what I had before. I was meticulously careful, had this up on the lift, mechanics looking at it, my brother looking at it, test drives, and just being really, really careful. I think this will be a great vehicle for me. It has the diesel 7.3 inside, low miles, I think 150,000 miles on it. To 2001, so it'll be, I think, a solid vehicle for me. Anyway, so excited about that. I'm going to be finishing up the Dodge today, trying to get it ready to sell, and hopefully it'll sell quickly. So that's all I have for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. Savor the moment, and I'll see you in a future episode.